Welcome to the meeting of Exec Cabinet Member Regeneration Portfolio. First item on the agenda is monitoring of Exec Cabinet Member decisions. Any questions, queries from colleagues? I can't see any hands, so
hang on,
all right, I can. Yeah, David?
Yes, can I just ask a question regarding West Horton Town Hall? I know I've just had an email from Phil Lamb earlier. I think John may be aware of where I'm going with this question. To say the least, me and my fellow ward councillors from both north and south of all persuasions are concerned that there's a great big hole in the roof, because it is a big, well, it has to be a big hole because of the amount of water what's coming in the town hall. What I saw was not a leak, it was a mini waterfall. And I'm really concerned that £900,000 was spent on putting the scaffolding up and having a load of people on the roof doing a lot of work, and we still have a hole in the roof letting a lot of water. And as ward member, I know John replied to us, but I have to say we were very concerned when that information came public. We weren't told, by the way, it came public from another source, that we understand significant damage has been done because of water ingress. So, I think ward members need to be kept fully up to speed. I know we've got this briefing. Phil sent an email out earlier, but I think we're all a little bit peeved about where we've ended up with, considering 900 grand was spent on fixing a roof what's got water pouring through it. Yeah, thanks very much.
Paul,
well, we are liaising with our property colleagues and they're leading on that side of it, which is the repairs and the work. Phil and the team are still working on the report that was approved to look at the long-term future of the town hall. But it is critical that as you say, there's a number of questions asked, and we're gradually ticking off some of those items. But the property side of things, with Councillor Howarth and Andrew Williamson, we will be working with them to get further updates to you.
David, do you want to come back?
Just briefly, I'm glad to hear that there is work being done behind the scenes, but I would like to ensure that all 6 of us, North and South councillors, because it's the West Horton, the more prime notable building in West Horton, are kept fully up to speed. I don't want to send emails digging it out with a crowbar, the information. I'd like it, a two-way street. So we are up to date and we know where we're going with it. I don't want to come to another briefing when what we are going to have arranged and suddenly find out there's something else. Because I won't be amused, and I know the other members won't be amused either. So if we can have a flow of information, that will be much better. Thank you very much.
That's understandable. John?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just quickly to Councillor Wilkinson, just to say, obviously we corresponded via email. I set out the position as was then. I think the invitation to come in with ward colleagues still stands, and if that would be helpful, Councillor Wilkinson, then more than happy to find a slot in your diary along with the executive cabinet member, and we can maybe check in terms of progress on the wider project and obviously the position in relation to water ingress on the building.
Yep, thank you. Great. Any other questions, queries on exec cabinet member decisions? No, thank you. Can I move to the second item on the agenda, long-term plan for towns, Farnworth?
And my colleague Peter Bright's here, who's supporting the council and has been leading on this. So he'll start off, and then I'll add in any points that we need to make that isn't covered by the report.
Okay, Peter.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, everybody. Yes, this is about the long-term plan for towns, which is a government initiative to spend 1.1 million across 55 towns across the country. And Farnworth has been identified as one of those towns, which means it would receive £20 million over a 10-year period. This is a slightly different form of funding from the government in that it's what they term an endowment fund. So basically, it's a set allocation of capital and revenue funding spread pretty much evenly over the course of 10 years. So if there's any opportunity, if there's the plan can be developed that will take activity, and if it's not spent in the same in year one, the year that it's allocated, it can be rolled forward. Funding can't be brought forward, but it can be used to secure borrowing. If we wanted to spend, say, 5 million in year 7, then the future years allocation can be used to underwrite that loan. Basically, there are 3 strands to the process. One is about creating a town board. We already have a board in place that's been looking at the town's deal funding and the future high street funding and so forth. So what we're looking at is reinvigorating that board and broadening it to include the governance of this funding stream. The second phase is about actually developing the plan process that will operate over a 10-year period. Now, this has to be submitted by the 1st of August this year, and it will come into 2 phases. So the first phase will be a 3-year well-developed investment plan, and then the next 7 years will be covered by a longer-term view that will be supported by the funding. And then that 20 million will come forward over 10 years, not 7 as was the position when I drafted the report. So with the spending, the funding can be drawn down over a 10-year period. We've got to say there's quite a bit of guidance that comes with it, and we've met with Anita Boardman, who is the managing director of AFG Law, as stepping in as the new chairman of the town's board that will come through, and we gave her a briefing in terms of what the programme needs to look like over the coming months. I'll be joined by a member of staff from a project manager from Walker Syme, Kathy Palmer, and she and I are working up the proposals to take the whole process forward over the next couple of months to make sure that the plan is ready to be submitted at the end of July. Obviously, we'll be bringing it back to you over the course of the through that period. The makeup of the town's board is quite well defined by the guidance note. The MPs need to be involved, as do the ward members, and we'll be looking at organising meetings to engage with you to develop the ideas. But this plan process is very much driven by is expected to be driven by the community. So there's around about 25% of the budget can be spent on revenue items. So the expectation is that it can be used to develop a programme of activities, rather than, as with things like Towns Deal and the Future High Street Fund, where the emphasis was on large pretty much single capital items. The intention here is to engage with the community and bring forward a lot of activities. The DLUC have provided us with a data set for Farnworth, which we'll be sharing with you as to understand the issues that they pick up as being very significant. And one of them particularly is identified as a weakness called on a concept called social trust. And that's pretty much how the people and the community in Farnworth feel about how they relate to their neighbours, they relate to organisations, they relate to, you know, sort of life in general. And it's how strong. So a lot of the emphasis will need to be about how do we build up that feeling of trust in the community, and that is more than just a security measure. It's more about how do we make sure that the public sector delivers on what is expected of it over the course of the period.
Thank you.
We'll be looking to provide. Is that okay?
No. Carry on. I thought you'd finish.
So there's we're expected to deliver or develop a vision for the town. And again, you may recall there was a master plan developed in 2019, and we're going through that process, through that document, looking at the items that haven't been picked up yet. Because a couple of the main items that were picked up through that master plan in 2019 have been taken forward through Future High Street Fund. So we've got the redevelopment of Brackley Street, the provision of the community hub, the Street Sprawl programme, the revamp of the leisure centre. Those big ticket items have all been taken forward through the Future High Street Fund. So we'll be looking for other ideas that can come through and shape up the plan for the town. Shall I leave it there? Obviously, the report goes into quite a lot of detail about that, and then pick up any questions that you've got.
Yeah. And I was going to say, Councillor, I'll just the addition there is that we have looked at a date for the Towns Board, so it's set now, and we'll liaise with the ward members over that date for the 26th of March. Yeah. We've got to have it before the end of March in order to secure the funding from of £200,000 for April and the next 12 months. We do need to, because of the way that the information has been supplied and the data has been supplied, there's key people that need to be involved in the Towns Board. So the police will be involved, the NHS will be involved, the university will be involved, because those are all key aspects of how we ensure safety, how we ensure that we've got access to services and the right services, and also that we ensure that the right support is given to the schools to ensure the children and even at college and the university, those skills are developed all the way through the process. So and the Towns Board will be the oversight, but we will be setting up individual groups and subgroups to drive forward the investment plan that needs to be created, and that will be an in-depth and fairly intensive period to develop that investment plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Sanders.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to apologise for my call in tonight. So I'm currently at the Community Alliance event in Bolton. So I'm on the car park on my mobile phone, but luckily I don't think need to run Teams, so we're able to continue. But yeah, so thank you to Peter and Paul there for the extensive introduction to the report. Having read it, I'm confident too that the collaborative cross-party stakeholder work that has gone on in Falmouth, obviously since 2018-19, absolutely that can be rebooted. I think the timescales, although tight, with the March 26th deadline isn't ideal, but I think it's manageable. I think we can do that at this stage. The feedback that I've had from some of the community groups and even residents, of course, they've seen this headline figure, £20 million. The devil, I suppose, is in the detail, but what I've heard, what I've seen in the reports this last couple of days, I think it is encouraging. I think some of the key threads that we've already started to tackle with the regeneration schemes in the town centre can now continue maybe further afield into the neighbourhoods and wider areas of Farnworth, maybe touching into Kersley as well. So, yeah, it's a very positive report. I think it starts now a 10-year vision for Farnworth and the wider area. And I know that all councillors and obviously council colleagues will be keen to play their part. And yeah, I'm encouraged by what I've seen and heard at this moment in time.
Thanks, Councillor Sanders. Councillor Warren.
Thanks, Chair. I just have a question about how success is measured of the project, because obviously 10 years is quite a long time, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of different measures that we're going to want to improve, whether it be ASB, community involvement, you know, charity work, etc. within the town. And things may be brilliant and a success and could be built on. Some things might not work and may need tweaking. So it's just kind of how that the Towns Board kind of manages that oversight over the 10 years, just because it is such a long time, and what's set up now may not work in 5 years' time, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, Chair, looking at the way that this is going to be structured, and we are being supported by the Citizen Growth Team and the DLUC Department of Levelling Up and Communities team. We've got there is a new chair of the towns, the 55 towns that's been created, and that you know, we're going to get a visit from them to start exploring what the intentions are with our ideas, and we'll begin to and they want to see a lot of community involvement. We'll be submitting the investment plan, which will be based on the 10-year vision, but then a 3-year action plan, and that will need to then be approved by the Department for Levelling Up, together with in a similar way to the Towns Fund, the outputs and the outcomes that are expected, and then we'll be measured on those in a similar way to the way we are with the Towns Fund and the Levelling Up Fund. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. David.
Yeah, thanks, Actor. Just call me a cynic, but this is a 10-year programme and it's $1 billion plus. Are we guaranteed the money? You know, it's put aside and it's got a label on to be spent in the next 10 years. I mean, things can change at certain national levels. Is it cast iron, 1 billion for 55 towns? No little chancellor's going to come along and say, well, I'd like that money, because people in Farnworth and in these other 54 other towns are going to bank on this for 10 years. You know, it'll soon go, you know, the money, and expectations will exceed the 20 million, but is it guaranteed?
And I think the commitment and the agreement is in place. So all we can do is work on the basis that this is being promoted on the basis that in theory the council could borrow against that endowment fund. So there's got to be a level of certainty that we are going to receive it, and we've already started receiving some of the money, and there's a level of certainty that we will continue to receive the money. and if that was reneged on, then I think there'd be a big stink that's created. So I think it's as certain can be that we can develop this plan. They've created a specific chairperson to take forward the plans for the 55 towns, which is a significant input. The Minister for Levelling Up is very keen on finding out what our ideas are as well. So there's interest across the board, both within from the political minister's point of view, but also all the way through the Department for Levelling Up, that this will happen.
Thank you. I do not see any hands up, so I'm going to approve the report as recommended in section 8 of the report. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is waiving of standing orders at Central Street and Horwich Health Hub developments.
Yeah, I can take you through this, Chair. Yeah. In a similar way, there's been many redevelopment and regeneration schemes that have been started and been undertaken. Farmworth is a really good example of this, together with the Moor Lane scheme, where there's regeneration happening, and inbuilt within that regeneration is the fact that there are works that the council need to undertake around and within those schemes. So within Farmworth, there was all the public realm needed to be undertaken within the confines of the buildings that were being built. So in the same way, we sought to waive standing orders to enable the council to commission the same construction team that's building the buildings to be able to deliver the public realm in that area. In the same way, on Moor Lane, the public realm is integrated with all the buildings. So again, we've secured the developer that's building the buildings to undertake the works of landscaping. So on these two schemes, we've got Central Street, where we're seeking to appoint CADIC, who are building the buildings, to undertake the highways works. And then up at Horwich, it's CADIC that are appointed to build the new health hub. So again, we want to appoint CADIC both on Central Street, so that there isn't a gap between building the buildings and doing the highways works, and appoint CADIC up at Horwich, because the two car park elements, the car park for the health centre and the car park that's linked to the leisure centre, need to be built as one development. So it's appropriate that both elements are constructed at the same time. CADIC aren't on one of the council's tender lists, so although it's appropriate that they can do the work and do that sort of work, but they're not on the Greater Manchester Framework, for example. So that's why we have looked at other alternatives. We've explored other alternatives, but we haven't been able to appoint CADIC via a framework, and therefore we need to seek approval to waive standing orders, as we have done in those other redevelopment locations. And to safeguard the council, then our highways teams will be engaging with CADIC to ensure that the contract that will be let is cost effective and represents good value for money. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Warren? Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. I think this makes complete and utter sense, to be honest. And I know that, especially with the car park at Horwich, a lot of that has been up in the air for quite a long time. So I know that you must have been really kind of pulling the punches behind the scenes to kind of pull this all together. So well done. But yeah, I think it makes complete sense.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Any other questions, queries? No. Well, in that case, I'm going to approve as recommended in section 8 of the report. So that brings us to the end of the agenda. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members.
Bye.
Thank you.